I'm a board member of Not in Our Town Princeton, and I'm happy to welcome you to tonight's Not in Our Town's continuing conversation on race and white privilege. We are hosted by the Princeton Public Library, which has been a steadfast partner in our work for years. And this presentation is being live streamed and recorded. When we go into the breakout rooms, however, those sessions will not be recorded. Not in Our Town is a racial justice organization founded in 1998. Since its inception, Not in Our Town has held events to educate and raise community awareness of continuing racism and to promote activities to combat it. For over a decade, Not in Our Town's continuing conversations have taken place on the first non-holiday Monday of each month to provide the opportunity for people from different backgrounds to hear speakers and to talk to each other about race-related topics. I'm happy to introduce my fellow board member, Joyce Trotman-Jordan, to read the land acknowledgement and the Not in Our Town mission statement.
Thank you, Connie. The land on which we are living is part of the ancient homeland and traditional territory of the Lenni Lenape people. We pay respect to the Lenni Lenape people past, present, and future, and their continuing presence in their homeland and in the diaspora. We also acknowledge the millions of enslaved Africans and their descendants on whose backs this nation was created. Not in Our Town Princeton is a multiracial, multi-faith group of individuals who stand together for racial justice and inclusive communities. Our focus is to promote the equitable treatment of all and to uncover and confront white supremacy, the system that facilitates the preference, privilege, and power of white people at the expense of non-white people, and pits racial and ethnic groups against each other by upholding a hierarchy based on proximity to whiteness. Our goal is to identify and expose the political, economical, and cultural systems which have enabled white supremacy to flourish, and to create new structures and policies which will ensure equity and inclusion for all. In our commitment to uncovering the blight of white supremacy on our humanity, we take responsibility to address it and to eliminate it in all its forms through intentional actions, starting with ourselves and our communities.
Thank you so much, Joyce. Thank you. I'm honored to introduce tonight's speaker. Latoya Edwards is the president of West Windsor-Plainsboro African American Parent Support Group, AAPSG. Founded in 1985, AAPSG, a 501c3 nonprofit organization, advocates on behalf of the African American students and students of the Black diaspora in the West Windsor-Plainsboro Regional School District. AAPSG's mission is to work in partnership with the school district, parents, students, and the community to create programs for students in grades K-12 that will enhance positive self-esteem and promote cultural diversity in curriculum and instruction programs. All are welcome and encouraged to participate, benefit, and become a sponsor for AAPSG programs and activities. Toy is CEO and founder of Toy Talks, whose mission is to educate and motivate so we can elevate and be great. Latoya has a passion for children and education and strongly believes knowledge is power. With Toy Talks, Latoya shares her knowledge with a touch of humor on a variety of topics: scholarships, adulting, parenting, and more. Toy received her BA in Accounting and Business Administration from Lincoln University, Pennsylvania, the oldest degree-granting historical Black college and university in the United States. She received her MBA from the University of Phoenix. Toy currently works as an asset transition manager responsible for managing billions of dollars in 401k plan assets. Toy hails from the Bronx, New York, and now resides in West Windsor, New Jersey, with her husband and 3 children, affectionately known as the Clones. Toy is a proud member of the Delta Sigma Theta sorority and an avid dancer. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Connie. Good evening, everyone. Now I can tell you we're all friends, and only my coworkers call me Latoya, and my mother-in-law is the only Miss Edwards. So please refer to me as Toy. Just some housekeeping notes. I will break for questions, so you won't hear me drone on for the next half hour. So please, please, please do not hesitate to ask questions. I may not be able to see you, So all I ask is that when you ask a question, that you please say your name. And thank you to Linda for helping me assist with the slides. So I can't see the slides, Linda. Are they up? Thank you. If you have your phone out, before we progress to the next slide, click your phone to the Scan Me in the corner, and that will bring you up to all of AAPSG's social media. So again, I'll give you guys a minute to scan me before we progress. Next slide, Linda. So what are you here to hear me talk about today? We're going to talk about AAPSG's history and mission. We're going to talk about our accomplishments, some of our challenges and opportunities. We're going to talk about some of our lessons learned, and we're going to talk about how AAPSG helps local organizations. And while I'm having this conversation, I will also talk for those who are from other districts that are looking to start an organization like AAPSG in your district. I'll add some points in there as well. And please, 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 like I said, do not hesitate to ask questions because this is a conversation. Next slide. Thank you. AAPSG, which is known as the African American Parent Support Group, was started in 1985, and that's a crucial date, by a concerned group of African American parents. At the time, the parents felt that African American children were not being treated fairly in the West Windsor-Plainsboro School District. What was happening at that time? African American students were not given access to the same programs as other students. They weren't being given access to honors classes, A&E classes, etc. African American students were not celebrated for their achievements similar to other students. Around that time, we had a young man that got a full scholarship to Harvard, but I don't think a lot of people knew that because, again, his accomplishment wasn't celebrated as others. Also, disciplinary actions were handed out at a higher rate for African American students than others. Let's be honest, there were a lot of racial problems at that time in '85, and the African American students in the district were being harassed. So a group of concerned parents and some teachers and administrators united to form AAPSG because they thought there was strength in numbers. Next slide. So founded in 1985, AAPSG is a group which advocates on behalf and support the African American students and students of the African diaspora within the West Windsor-Plainsboro School District. Our mission is to create a strong link between the administrators, teachers, parents, and the larger community. We are ensuring that our students receive an equal, equitable, and quality education within the West Windsor-Plainsboro School District. And as the slides are going through, I'll just highlight some of the programs that we've done. Linda, if you can go back a slide or two, so I apologize, I didn't do that. Just go back one. Okay, one more. Thank you. So the students on this slide are the past officers for the West Windsor-Plainsboro High School North Black Student Union. We had a program where we installed stoles on them because they've all graduated and they were all going to college and university. Next slide. I did a talk been about a year ago for the Voices of West Windsor. And also that's a picture of some of the older officers and presidents of AAPSG. One of the programs that we love to do is our father and sons group. So what you see is the picture of fathers and sons talking to the left, and to the right, we did a superhero Marvel reading group where we got students copies of, I think we were doing Black Panther for that reading. And we had students read the book and we had a great conversation about the book as well. Next slide, Linda. Thank you. Okay, so how does AAPSG achieve its mission? We do a number of things. We work with the school, we address academic and curriculum concerns within the school district. We meet with the school a couple of times a year to review that. We improve communication between parents and the schools. West Windsor is a great school district, but that website is to be desired. So a number of our parents are always asking us questions where they could find information. And really, we work a lot as a bridge for our parents in schools to really make sure our parents are armed with information. provide opportunities for families in the district to meet and network. The population of African-American families is very small in West Windsor, maybe about 5%. And sometimes you just don't cross paths. So we really try to have events, Kwanzaa, meet and greets, potlucks, to really get the families in our district to meet and greet. We increase cultural awareness. One thing we always try to do around Black History Month, we always pick a theme, we pick a school, we go to that school, we decorate the school to try to put up pictures of little known Black history figures. A couple of years ago, we did Women's History Month where we decorated Dutch Neck and the library with a number of pictures, and the students really, really enjoyed it. And the last thing we do is we celebrate our students' achievements, because quite frankly, sometimes when the district has their awards programs, African-American students are not highlighted in those programs. So we work hard. We have our own Striving for Excellence program where we have our own awards to highlight our students' accomplishments in the district. Does anyone have any questions before I move to our accomplishments? Please don't be shy. Again, I ask that you just say your name because I can't see you. Does anyone have any questions?
This is Carrie Peretta. I'm just wondering if over really extraordinary 35 years, 36 years, if there has been, or maybe you'll address this as we go along, any arcs of changes, anything that needed, redoing or reaffirming. I'm curious about that, at least ultimately, even if it's not the right time to address it now. Thank you.
That's a great question. And I will say I will address it, but it's as much change as there has been made. The more things change, the more things stay the same. That's what I'll say. The organization was founded 35 years ago. We're still working hard today. So that shows there's a lot of change that still needs to happen. But great question. Any others before I move on?
Excuse me, Toy, it's Princess.
Okay, Princess.
My question is a general question.
Sure.
In your group is the African American parents, and you mentioned about focusing on African American students and students of the African diaspora. And I thought that to be interesting because you did not use Black. And I wondered if you did that for a reason. Did you do that on purpose? Or if it was just something where some people just interchange Black for African American?
It was twofold. As you just said, Princess, some people do interchange it. When the organization started, I'll say there weren't as many students from Africa. There weren't many students from the Caribbean. So when we say the African diaspora, we're encompassing both the nations of Africa, because we have a number of students from Ghana, Nigeria, Liberia, and we have a number of students from the Caribbean, Jamaica, Guyana, St. Croix, St. Thomas. So when we say that, we're encompassing all of those areas. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense.
Okay.
It makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. And we went through a time, as you know, that we were Black, say it loud, I'm Black and I'm poor out, and then we kind of morphed to African American. So it all depends on the year we're in. I think we're in the Black time, but we still reference African American. But it really all depends on where we are in our history. Okay. Any other questions?
That's a good answer.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry.
No, that was a good answer. You're right, and I agree with you 100% on that.
Yeah.
So this is Mickey. I'm just wondering how long you've been involved with the group.
Mickey, I've been involved. I think I'm coming into year 8 or 7. I served as vice president for 4 years. And this is my second term as president. So this is my first year into my second term. So when I'm about 5-6 years, but after next year, I am passing the torch to someone else who will become president. But I still will be involved heavily within the organization. I was a member before being an officer, so probably around 8 to 10 years I've been involved.
And this is Tiffany.
And you have some folks on this call that have been involved longer than I am, which I will reference to. I'm not on the spot. You know I am.
You're doing a great job too, Latoya. This is Tiffany. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Tiffany. How are you? Thank you.
This is Joyce. So
Hi, Joyce.
I worked within the school district at the I was hired in 1989.
Oh, wow.
And I was extremely impressed with the support of the African American parent support group for the students, and we worked extremely closely together. I was always involved at the elementary level because I was
that's awesome.
Elementary counselor. But I have so many stories that I could
bet you
share
do.
another time. Many stories.
I bet you
Thank
do.
you.
That's awesome. And I know a number of folks, have been involved with the organization prior to me being involved in being vice president and president. So you guys know of the organization and have some great memories, which is awesome. I hope in my role as president, I'm continuing to make those memories for folks. Okay. Some of the accomplishments that we've done over the years, I called it Striving for Excellence, but we changed it to our Student Achievement Awards. And again, those are awards where we celebrate the African-American students in the district. Some of the pictures on the page show our students with some of the vice principals and principals in the district, assistant principals and principals within the district. Again, we provide big support for our parents navigating that school district website and program. If you're looking to start an organization in your town and you don't have one, definitely become very familiar with your school website and how they have it laid out, because quite frankly, a lot of information is on there that a lot of parents don't see and don't know. So you really should take the time to learn the tabs where they house important information, because we get a lot of questions on that and we're able to point our parents right to where they need to be. Okay. Our advocacy has brought a lot of change in the district. One program that started with AAPSG and now is a district-wide program is called Reading Recovery. When we meet with the superintendent and officials from the district, we have a very open and honest conversation. We want to know where our kids are academically. And one of the areas where our kids was falling behind was reading. So in addition to our superhero Marvel program, in the previous years, AAPSG used to run a Reading Recovery, was to really help our kids with reading. The district thought the program was so great that they picked it up themselves, and now they run Reading Recovery throughout all the, I believe it's just the elementary schools, but they run the Reading Recovery program now. But that was a program that started within AAPSG. We facilitate tutoring and mentorship programs. We have a great gentleman, Dr. Michael Richardson, that comes in every year and teaches our students about study skills, because he teaches them how to study smart, not study long, and he teaches them awesome test taking skills. And we always get rave reviews on that program because our students always benefit from his knowledge. We lead cultural sensitivity discussions within the district. I'm happy to say that our advocacy in the district resulted in the hiring of a West Windsor-Plainsboro School District Diversity, Equity, and Inclusivity Officer. And we've worked hard to increase recruitment of African-American teachers and administrators in the district. Now, the one program that you may hear about us, because I know a lot between here and Hamilton and Princeton, et cetera, is our annual summer math program. So math was another area there where the district said, African-American students are falling behind. So we created a summer math program. So every year we have teachers from the district come in from second up until calculus and even pre-SAT, where we have teachers from the district teach a summer course to kids to prep them for the next grade. So for example, my daughter, Ava, who's going to 11th grade, she would go into the 11th grade math class in the summer to help her get a leg up on the math classes that started. And that program is extremely, extremely successful. It's unfortunate we have to turn families away because we only have a certain number of teachers. And lastly, one thing that we're proud of is our men-to-men group. As mothers, we get a lot of credit, but one thing we don't do is credit Black fathers. And we need a space where Black fathers can have safe conversations. So we have our Vice President of Membership and Outreach, Rashad Grove, runs our men-to-men program, where the fathers in the district get together, fathers sometimes with their sons, fathers just the fathers, and really just able to have a safe conversation about what is going on in their lives and in the district. Next slide. We do a lot of community service. Shameless plug, I attended Lincoln University, the oldest degree granting HBCU. And that's a picture of me there, which I'll talk about the college fair. But we work at Homefront. We do volunteering for Ron McDonald House. The students in the district have a volunteering requirement, may have changed a little bit during COVID. So we would offer volunteer opportunities for our kids so they can get those hours. So Homefront, Ronald McDonald House. We encourage our kids to attend the HBCU College Fair. Again, I'm a proud graduate of an HBCU. I attend the college fair every year. It's right down the street at Mercer County Community College. I'm not sure if it's going to be in person this year. I think it will be via Zoom again, but we encourage our kids to learn about HBCUs because they're not learning about them currently in the district. We work with the local NPHC, which is the National Panhellenic Council organizations. I am a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Linda, I think you need to go back one. That's okay. I'm a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And we work hard to ensure our kids in the district apply for scholarships. If you don't know, I do a scholarship talk every year, and it's open to all students because there is so much money that is left on the table because our kids are not applying. So we really work hard for our kids to really apply for scholarships. We work with RISE, we work with Arm in Arm, we work with Trenton Area Soup Kitchen. And one thing we do every year, we've been doing for the last couple of years, is working on the West Windsor MLK Day of Service, where we partner with the West Windsor Arts Council and we take donations for various organizations. So we are very active in the schools in our community. Before we move to the next slide, well, you leave it there, Linda, it's okay. Does anyone have any questions? I'll break for questions again. You guys are a quiet group, don't be shy. No questions? Okay.
It's me again, Toy.
Sure.
Princess again.
Yeah.
Regarding the special program, the summer program you have with math, is there any consideration of having an African-American history class or an African-American history class so that we understand better about ourselves?
Oh, I totally agree. One thing we've talked to the schools about, and I have to give West Windsor credit where credit is due. They are really working hard to ensure our kids are learning more African and African-American history. Last year, they brought in so many different books by Toni Morrison and various authors so our kids can be aware. Shameless plug to my daughter. I know she's going to be mad. So my daughter is working on her Gold Award project. And one of the ideas that we have is creating a class similar to what you're talking about, Princess, having her do a seminar about African and African-American history. Because quite frankly, if we're not teaching ourselves a lot of this stuff, a lot of our kids just don't know. So we have to make sure that we're teaching that knowledge and passing it on. So that's one of the thoughts that we're having. And we do a lot of history during Black History Month. So please, please, please follow us on social media because we do a number of various events for Black History Month, but that's one we may add on there. So thank you, Princess, for the suggestion.
Thank you, Latoya. This is Carol Martin. And my question is, you mentioned for the summer math program that's taught by teachers. Who pays the teachers, number one? And then you mentioned that some kids get turned away. So how do you determine which kids are going to be part of the program?
It's first come, first serve. I'll make it very easy. What always happens is we open registration and we do charge a fee. We charge about, I think it's 80, 85 bucks per child. And a lot of that goes towards the teachers because we have to pay the teachers for their time. What always happens is we open registration and we say registration is going to close on a certain day. And then we get a bum rush because the teachers set the number of kids they want in their class. So over Zoom, we've been averaging about 20. Most teachers say they want 20, maybe 25 max. So, you know, pre-calculus is a lot smaller because that's a lot harder. SAT prep, teacher only wants 12 students. So once we reach that cap, we have to close it. So, and we always try to tell folks to apply, get your child on the list, even if you don't pay, just register to secure your spot. So if anybody look around and it gets posted on the West Windsor district website, and that drives a lot of traffic. Actually, a lot of folks are looking for that. And around March, April, they start emailing us, asking us when registration will open because they know it will close pretty fast. So if you're in West Windsor, follow us on our social media again, because we put that summer math, the registration is opening, but that's after consultation with the teachers to say for each class, how many students they want in their class. And once we reach that cap, we have to close it. Good question.
Thank you.
Latoya, or sorry, Toy, it's Julie Yee.
Hey, Julie.
I work in the district, and so I have to be honest, I didn't ever hear of the group until last year.
Yeah.
And so for me as a teacher, having students, I would like to give them this information. So, you know, is there a way for you to get the group's information to the teachers so that we can even share this with our own kids, maybe at parent teacher conferences or at our back to school nights? You know,
Julie, see, you're awesome. That's an awesome question. Linda, next slide. Because I'm going to answer your question in a minute. Okay. So what are our challenges and opportunities? So Julie just mentioned one. AAPSG does get a lot of recognition, you know, throughout the community and in the school. But as Julie said, there are folks who still do not know about us. And so we're working hard to make sure that folks know we're here. Julie, we mostly interface with the Black Student Union for both schools with the assistant principals. And I know I have been branching out to Teresa Riley and other folks within the district that have more contact with broader students, because that's what we're finding. As much as we're putting this information out there, and there is a great population of folks that follow us that know that we're here, there is a larger part of the community that still doesn't. So please, 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 I'm so happy we connected. Send me your information. And I would not mind sending this out to any of the teachers. Again, I interface with Teresa Riley once a month to make sure she always sends me information to send to our parents. I always send her stuff to push out to the kids. But if there is a centralized email group or a group of teachers, counselors, etc., I would love to meet them. So that is one of our challenges, because unfortunately during COVID, our way to get out in the district was every school had their back to school night. So we would canvass the district and go to all 10 schools and make sure there was a representative at back to school night for every night to make sure our parents know that we're here. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we haven't been able to do that. So we're missing a lot of the newer parents in the district because they don't know. And again, as much as I love West Windsor, that website is a lot to be desired. So you have to search for us on the site. So if you don't know we're here and you're not on the site, you're just not going to know about AAPSG. So let's work together to get the information out there, because we have so much and we share so much. I'm not sure what school you're in. If you're with, we interface with Rose and Leonard for South and Roslyn, Washington for North. And we send the kids a ton of information. And we send it to Roslyn and Rose and Joe Porter so they can cascade it out to their kids. Okay.
So the Toya, I recall, this is Tiffany again. Yeah. Wasn't there an issue with the district with the teachers singling out individuals because of color?
That was for us. So one of the reasons why we can't send out information directly from the district is because if you go in and do a search, you know, based on HIPAA and privacy, not everyone wants to be categorized as African-American or Black. So what we do, Tiffany, is we send it to the teachers. So if the teachers, if I send information to Julie and she determines, hey, Ava's African-American and Ava should get that information, we're not involved in it. We just make sure that they are armed with the information. What they do with the information outside is outside of us. Thank you, Tiffany.
Right.
Just a quick note that Joy Bailey has put an email where the group can be contacted in the chat.
Yes. In this lovely picture at the bottom of the screen, this is Joy and myself in the matching shirt. We were at, I forgot the name of the Joy, you'd have to help me. It was in Plainsboro. It was the fair, when all the organizations were there. We try to attend almost every event that we
Innovation Fair.
There you go. Thank you. The Innovation Fair. So that was Joy and I at the Innovation Fair. We try to go to, I've attended all the religious rallies, political rallies. Again, I try to make as many events in the district as possible just to let folks know that we are here. Because not only do we work with the schools, we work with the broader community. So when they had the big push in West Windsor, Plainsboro for Class 3 officers, I went up there, and represented, hopefully well, the African American community, and talked about how we felt about having Class 3 officers in the school. So again, we have an annual basketball game, which we haven't had, and hopefully we can have this summer, where we have a basketball game with our young boys with both of the police departments, because as we all know, African American young men and the police have a very tumultuous relationship. And we try to do everything in our power to at least try to bridge that gap. So we have an annual basketball game that is always well received. And every year, and we just got an email a couple weeks ago from our Sergeant Iman saying, let's see, this was pre-Omicron variant though, if we can get that game back in, because I think the boys really get a lot out of it and the officers do as well. So again, we work with the district and the community at large. Okay. Any more questions?
Yeah, there's a question in the chat, but I'm just trying to bring it up. Hang on a second. I keep in the wrong place and not being able to see it. Oh, no,
Okay.
I don't see it. Never mind. I was
Hey, Kim, I'll send it in a minute.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Dwayne Williamson has a question.
Okay, thanks, Dwayne.
Yeah. Hi, Latoya. Thanks for a great presentation, by the way. You're doing some very impressive work.
Thank you.
One of my things that I'm trying to push, I'm actually an elected councilman in Princeton. My term is actually ending the end of this calendar year. And we actually have a separate elected body, which is the school board. And one of my new things that I really want to get, I've been involved in it before, but I really want to kind of make that one of my priority issues is really getting the whole Amistad curriculum in the schools. And we passed this legislation over a decade ago, but it doesn't seem to have really penetrated as many districts as it should. Just wondering if that's something that's on AAPSG's radar screen, and if you have any contact with the Amistad Commission and trying to really get that as part of your regular school curriculum.
You're going to live long. Just actually attended an event last night where, and I'd have to find her name, who spoke to some young people, who was the head of the Amistad Commission for the school, for the state actually. I just can't remember her name. So to answer your question, AAPSG, we've approached it, and I'm going to say this, and this is one of my bullet points. When you work with the schools, because you have to work in tandem with the school district, the conversations will be honest and the conversations will be uncomfortable. And how you start those conversations will really determine where you go. So I know for West Windsor, and again, West Windsor, no matter how you feel about it, I can give them credit where credit is due. When those conversations came up, we approached the Amistad project very briefly, but West Windsor was very open to make changes. And they've made a lot of changes or made a lot of updates to their curriculum. Believe me, they have plenty more work to do. But in comparison to a number of other districts who are really fighting against it, it's going to be a lot of hard work, because it all depends on your district. It all depends on your leadership. It all depends on if that's something they want to tackle. The Amistad Commission is getting a little flack because they're being lumped in with critical race theory. So again, it all depends on how your school district looks at it. But I can say in the conversations that we've had with West Windsor, they've been very open, and they have made a number of curriculum changes. Believe me, they have more work to do. But I think in terms of the changes they've made some great changes and great strides to get that history taught. I always tell folks a funny story. My daughter now is in 10th grade. When she was in 8th grade, we've all had history, and slavery was, something that just happened. And, it was good for cotton and corn, and that's how we learned it. I had a conversation with my daughter that was, Black people were getting maimed and lynched, and I was like, where you learning that? She was like, my teacher, we did a whole subject on slavery. So even their approach, they're being very open and honest about that conversation. And again, you're really going to have to work with your district. You're really going to have to work with your school board. You're going to have to work with the curriculum committee on your school board, because they really they set the precedent and set the curriculum for the year and really see where their mind's at. So it won't be easy work, but it will be rewarding work, but you have a lot of work to do within your district. Okay.
Thanks, Latoya. Appreciate it.
No problem. No problem.
Thank you. We do have a question in the chat, and also I wanted to note that Connie Govan notes that Dr. Stephanie James Harris is the head of the Amistad Commission.
There you go. That's who she was. She was on the call yesterday with the young folks from the NAACP.
So the question in the chat is from Caroline Clark, and she says, so if people don't want to be categorized as African American, how do they qualify for participation in a program for African Americans?
Our programs are all open. I always say this to folks. Our focus is to make sure that the African American students are getting equal, equitable, and rewarding education. However, our programs are open, but really your categorization has nothing to do with me, because again, you have a lot of folks who don't want to be categorized as African American. I can't do anything about it. All I can do is tell you that we have a program. We do offer some programs to our students first because we want them to get the spots. But again, if we offer it broadly, it is open. Our summer math program is African American, Caucasian, Indian, and we have more Indian, East Asian parents emailing us, when is your program starting, than anyone else. So again, we're open, but if you don't want to be categorized, that's not my problem. We just put it out there to everyone. And if you want to utilize what we put out, that's all I can tell you. Does that make sense? I see questions in the chat, Linda, and I can't see them. So thank you for.
So I can. Well,
I think I saw one go by.
There's a couple of things. Yeah. Linda Oppenheim, who's with Not in Our Town, notes that the Amistad Commission Executive Director, Stephanie James, will be speaking at Not in Our Town's February continuing conversation.
That's awesome. That is a great, that's a date.
Nanika Brathwaite says anti-racist education is about not allowing the majoritarian narrative to be the sole narrative in teaching and learning. And Linda Dodd says, how does the advocacy process work in your organization? Do you take surveys of the parents, or does the leadership of the AAPSG set priorities? And then goes on to ask, were the advocacy wins like the DEI coordinator and hiring wins in recent years? Has advocacy changed over the years?
Well, I'll answer that. I may answer it backwards. It all depends on what the focus is. It changes the years. So, we're in the age of social justice. So we do a lot of advocacy and focus on social justice. We don't set the precedent. We have meetings, I call them community conversations, chat and choose, with our parents. Tiffany, who spoke as an immediate president, Joy is the immediate past president. I always start with the presidents of past. I get their advice. What do you think we should be focused on? We talk to the district, because sometimes there are things that are going on that the district may say, Latoya, I think you guys need to focus on, i.e. reading recovery, summer math, disciplinary actions. There are certain things we work with the district, and then we set policy. In the beginning of the year, probably August, I have a chat. We used to have a barbecue, but of course, COVID changed all that. We have a chat and chew, and I want to hear from our parents. What issues are you having? Again, because I have 3 kids in the district. Tiffany has kids in the district. I want to have all our families, our moms and dads come together, and you tell me. And a lot of it is around the same conversation. Our kids not being able to participate in certain things, maybe our kids maybe not getting the A&E program. Our advocacy in that, along with some other groups, I will give credit to, had the district change the policy on how kids get into A&E classes and honors classes. So again, we hear that, and we push that narrative with the schools. We sit down with them. We want to understand how the process works. Why is the process a little discriminatory? Let's be real. What can we do to make sure this process is fair and equal and equitable? And then the district will make changes. And again, this is not something that happens overnight, but it takes time. But this work is steady and constant. But if you advocate long enough, again, changes will happen. Did I answer your whole question?
Thank you, Ms. Edwards.
Okay.
Yes, Linda,
thank you.
Please call me Toy.
I'm sorry, Toy. I'm
Edwards.
sorry. I do want to just do a
that.
time note, because I know you have a hard stop as well.
Yeah.
You have an important date
I have an appointment date with my son. Yes. Well, he's actually he's at a Grover doing his 8th grade concert. Next slide. Again, we push for parent engagement and community involvement. So if you know of any parents in the district, please send us our way. Now, and what is the lesson learned? As this slide says, the more things change, the more things stay the same. This organization was started 30 years ago, and I guarantee Joyce Troutman, Joanne, folks who have known the organization a long time, you know, the Tiffany Cummings, the Barbara Edmonds, the Karen Delk, they were fighting for the same things that we're fighting for today. So hopefully there will be a time where an organization like AAPSG will not be needed, or any variety of AAPSG won't be needed in any district, but we are honest and we know that this fight continues. So that's why I say this is continuous work, because these same issues have been going on for 30 some odd years. And it changes and it ebbs and flows. Some years is a lot smoother than others. But again, this work will never stop. So you definitely want to get folks together that'll push, because we're always going, you know, even when I move on to the next administration, unfortunately, again, it's 2021 going into 2022, and I wasn't around in the 60s or the 50s, but I know Joyce and some others can tell you, and a lot of you guys on this call, it feels like we're back there again. I've had conversations with some of our elders, and they feel like they're there. So we're fighting those same battles, you know, with the school. We're fighting those same battles with the community. And again, we're just fighting for our spot, to make sure our kids are here, to make sure folks know we're here, and make sure that we get our share as well.
Thanks.
And that'll never stop.
Right.
Thank you, Latoya. That was great.
Yeah. Okay.
One other question.
Sure.
Dwayne Williamson again. Have you ever had any contact with Princeton has a group which is, I guess, is the counterpart to AAPSG, is the Princeton Parents for Black Children. I don't know if you ever had any contact with them. Oh.
You are awesome. So next slide, Linda. So you a great segue.
Okay.
You're a great segue.
Oh, yeah, we're right there.
Just a little ESP, segue. That's all.
So I can tell you that, and believe me, all credit to them, but AAPSG has met with a number of organizations in the area. We assisted some with getting started, and I wouldn't say getting started because the bones were there. We just helped them with the organization. And that one of our first groups that we worked with was the Princeton Parents for Black Children. And they are right in your backyard in Princeton, guys, and they are doing such awesome work. We've met with them a few times. We gave them some suggestions and ideas, and they have been off to the races. You know, there is a similar group in Hamilton called Excellence Through Education, and they're doing some awesome work as well. We've met with some teachers and officials in Montgomery Township, because they're looking to form an AAPSG-like organization as well. And I am proud to say that I recently helped some of our young people in West Windsor-Plainsboro start the WWP NAACP Youth Council. I don't know if there's one in Lawrenceville, Andrea, because I believe, I'm not sure. I was going to say I believe so, but I'm not 100% sure. I can find out for you. But we have some young people that just started a youth branch of the NAACP and WWP. And I will say this, if there's anyone from a school district, Allentown, I know I've heard scuttlebutt that Allentown may be wanting to start an organization, please, please, please send us our way. We've been here a long time. We have a lot of knowledge. We give a lot of good information. I know Joy is saying there is an organization in Lawrenceville, but I know these are the organizations that we interface with, and we've helped them get started. So we're really excited, you know. But again, if you're looking to start an organization in your town, please, please, please reach out to me. But great question, Dwayne. Thank you for the segue. All right.
Thank you, Latoya.
No problem. And again, if you're looking to start an organization similar to AAPSG, find a group of like-minded individuals, and those like-minded individuals are parents, teachers, and administrators. Most folks that have like-minded ideas will congregate together. So that's the first thing. Define a mission statement and define your group's objectives. So create a mission of what you want to accomplish and create objectives from your group. One thing I would strongly recommend is talk to your local PTA and school board members, because they have a lot of ideas. They can talk, especially the PTA, they can talk about the challenges that they have with membership, with programs, et cetera. They can give you a lot of opportunities. And then you have organizations that you can collaborate with. Choose a great name. I love the PPBC, the Princeton Parents for Black Children. And again, when I met with them, what did I tell you guys? You find the name that works for you, because AAPSG works for us. You find the name that works for you and let it run. Consider having an organization become a 501c3, which is nonprofit. You know, you set up bylaws and officers, and you really just get to work. Believe me, the work will always be here. Again, we all long for the day that organizations like AAPSG, like Princeton Parents for Black Children, like Excellence Through Education, that we're not needed, but we are. So get your shell together, get your team together, get your mission and objectives together, and get to work. Next slide, Linda. And where to find us. We are everywhere. You know, we're on social media. You have our email. We're on Facebook, we're on IG, we're on Twitter. We have a website, Weebly. So there's no reason why no one can say, we can't find AAPSG. We are everywhere, you know, so please, please, please follow us on social media. Look for our upcoming events. And that is it, guys. Next slide, Linda. And thank you, Linda, for the slides work. Thank you. So any questions at this point, again, please, please, please contact us if you need anything, but any questions from this group?
There's a lot of thank yous. Great job. Keep fighting.
Thank you. Oh,
Allentown will reach out to you.
Awesome. Please. Thank you.
Someone says a student group in Lawrence is Black in Lawrence, and they've got, she puts in the Facebook page. There's also a small parents group, but they're not sure of the name.
Awesome. Awesome.
A lot of great jobs.
And we'll find them out. We'll search them out. A lot of those groups have been in place. Like I said, I know PBBC, they were just starting. So we met with Rhinell and Lanice and others, and we answered their question, and they were off to the races. Excellence Through Education, they had already started, but we helped them out a little bit. And then the Youth Council, I don't know if Montgomery, if they got started, we had a number of meetings with them, so I'm not sure if they started an organization. And then the Youth Council. So again, there's always work to be done. But there will always be servants, and I am one of them to do it. And I will say this, this is work that can be sometimes uncomfortable. You know, uncomfortable conversations are needed to move the needle forward. So, and on that note, I am done. Thank you guys for having me. It's been a long time coming, Connie. We finally got here. So thank you guys for having me. Thank you,
No, thank you too. No, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys
so much.
Bye, Latoya. This is
have to drop
Bye-bye.
because I have a date with my son in his van. So thank you guys. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Latoya. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everybody. You successfully survived the transporter beam. That is, I always feel like that. I think I watched maybe a teensy bit too much Star Trek growing up. But we're glad to have everybody back in the big room. I'm Shelley Krause. I'm also part of the leadership team of Not in Our Town. And we like when we've had an opportunity to go into our breakout rooms and discover the sort of genius that is always in the room there with us. We like to give the small group breakout sessions an opportunity. If you have something that you think would be helpful for other folks to hear, to go ahead and offer that out so that we can share it amongst the broader group. And don't be shy. What's something that resonated with you in your group?
Would it be good for Madeline to talk about next month while people are thinking about what they want to say, or should we wait till the end?
But you know, I didn't want to say anything because Joyce, I mean, our group, I thought was brought a lot of things to the table, and I wish someone else would speak up about it. But I truly learned a lot from the others tonight speaking, and they had the same kind of concern that I have about our schools, our leadership here in Princeton, and that we all can play a role of making these type of changes in our community and at the school, how our teachers teach certain individual kids, and how our African American and other brown brothers and sisters is not getting the same and don't feel that they're in a safe haven. And it's because of the teachers not dealing with their own prejudice, and not just the teachers, their administrators. And right now, Princeton do have a Black superintendent. And to me, I want to speak about myself. Our parents here have a lot of negative, unsure, because she's a woman who don't look like them. And so I can imagine how she might feel. And then we have teachers and other administrators the same way. So we have a lot to do here. I mean, when I look at the outlook of West Windsor, what they can do there, and they only have 5% of African Americans, I just want to understand why we have not made no changes here in Princeton. And that's not in our school system. That's the same kind of stuff that goes out into our community, but other organization or other places that our children go to. So, but it was a really deep conversation. I was very happy to see another young woman who also dressed as that concern, and she did not look like me.
Thank you, Joanne. Anyone else have something that they'd like to bring forward from their small group?
This is Ted. I learned that Barbara Flythe was a co-founder of the West Windsor Parent Support Group.
Yes.
That's right.
Doesn't surprise me in the least, since Barbara was also one of the founders of Not in Our Town Princeton.
That's why I didn't say anything, because it makes me seem flighty. But I stayed, and I stayed with the group for about 8 or 10 years, and Joyce was a wonderful ally. We didn't have a lot of African American teachers. Joyce, it was just you and Annie Scott and Rose Miller.
That's right. Yeah.
And she was like a secret spy. She was wonderful. We couldn't have done it without you. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, very close. I said I work closely with the African American Parent Support Group and work with the parents and the children. Unfortunately, working on the inside, there was a great deal of resentment at the time for parents of African descent from teaching staff. So having to work around that so that our kids could get what it was that they needed was crucial and very important to me. So
do you remember how you even fought for us for the Striving for Excellence?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. The teachers didn't want to do their applications, so I filled out every one of them because I knew all the kids in my building. I would fill out every one of the applications because the teachers would not do it.
That's the kind of stuff that shouldn't have to go on.
Oh, tell me about it.
You know, and Barbara knows what I'm talking about. That's the kind of stuff that we're still dealing with in Princeton. So I'm just letting you know, I've been here for a very long time.
When I got to West Windsor in '85, nigger and sand nigger for Asians was on the walls and nobody scrubbed it off. That's what we faced as an African American parents.
Yep. A very good friend of mine who graduated from what's now known as South.
Yeah.
The parents, the community around that his neighborhood, the parents came and said, we'll buy your house. Back in the 70s, we'll buy your house if you'll move.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't even want the, and this was just like one family.
Mm-hmm. It was another whole level.
Yeah. All right, we can go on for, okay. I think Shelley's gonna close us out now. Anybody else?
I know that she had to leave, but I wanted to lift up another round of gratitude to Joy for her work in our community and with us here tonight. I thought that her focus on the importance of persistence and a willingness to commit to those uncomfortable conversations, her combination of optimism and also a realistic assessment of how much has not changed, I thought was really powerful. And I'm grateful to everyone who helped make this program possible tonight. I'd like to give Madeline an opportunity to give us a little sneak peek preview of what we can look forward to for our next continuing conversation on racism and white privilege, which will take place on, as is typically the case, the first Monday, non-holiday Monday of the month. So that will be Monday, January 3rd. And I'm gonna pass the virtual mic over to you.
Thank you so much. And thank you all for letting me pop in at the end here. I'm Madeline Rosenberg. I'm the Princeton Public Library's Public Humanities Specialist. So I manage the public humanities programs at the library. And as we were looking ahead to the new year, we realized it would be the first anniversary of the January 6th US Capitol insurrection. And this seemed like a really important opportunity to look at the context of this insurrection and also its very newly emerging legacy, and particularly its context and legacy in relation to the long history of white supremacist violence in this country. And so I, through the wonderful Kim Dorman, had the opportunity to meet with board members from Not in Our Town and speak about an opportunity to collaborate on a session and draw a little bit of focus to this anniversary. And so I just wanted to share a little preview. So the January 3rd session will focus on a presentation called Looking Back at the Capitol Insurrection, Growing Far-Right Extremism and the Future of American Democracy. It's going to look at how we arrived at the events of January 6th, how the far-right has mobilized in the riots' aftermath, and what we can expect in the future. The speaker will be Cassie Miller, who is a senior research analyst at the Southern Poverty Law Center's Intelligence Project. She's an expert on the American far-right, the white power movement, and political violence. She regularly speaks on these topics, and she holds a PhD in history from Carnegie Mellon University. So I think it's going to be a really complicated and important and enriching topic, hopefully, and hopefully we'll provide a platform for some meaningful discussion afterwards. So I hope to see you all there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And as you may have seen in the chat, we also gave a little sneak glimpse into the fact that on Monday, February 7th, the following program, we will be inviting the executive director of the Amistad Commission, Stephanie James, to join us. So all of which is to say, please keep coming back and spend a little time thinking about the people in your life who are just one step further away from this campfire we've got going here, and invite someone. Okay. Thank you very much, as always, for your time, your attention, the gifts of your spirit and your heart to this work. We appreciate you, and we are grateful for your partnership. Thanks again.
Thank you too. Thank you,
Joanne.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, Barbara.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Dwayne.
Hey, good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you
Caroline.
very much.